All right, everybody, just a couple of minutes past the hour here, and we'll go ahead and get started with Coach's weekly press conference. And Coach, if you could just kind of kick things off with a short recap of FIU, and then looking forward to returning home against UTEP on Tuesday.
Yeah, just really proud of the way the guys performed on last Tuesday. They showed in all phases of the game, they showed a way to ride the emotional roller coaster like we've been talking about all season. It wasn't always as clean as you would like it in the third quarter, and those guys still found a way to persevere and hold the team from not scoring a touchdown. And then, come back, early in the fourth or late in the third, whatever it was, and hit an explosive play to we felt like that was kind of one of those plays that helped us separate a little bit from the opponent. But just the way those guys performed, over 500 yards of offense, or right at 500 yards of offense, no turnovers like we continue to stress to these guys, and then having a bend but don't break style of defense, holding those guys to a lot more field goals and not as many touchdowns as you would like. So, like, just, we're learning how to win in tough situations. And part of being the type of team that we would like to be is learning how to go on the road and win football games. And that's tough to do in any league. It's tough to do, and those guys will continue to mature and continue to grow as a football team.
Questions for Coach? Kai, you want to start us off?
Sure, Coach. Just to get it out of the way, a couple of guys left the game on Tuesday. Garland, Amari, I believe Coleman Bennett, and Tylon Dunlap all exited the game. Just if you could share what you could about the status of those guys.
Yeah, truly, all those guys except Garland are probably day to day right now. They're still doing some evaluations and get some second opinions on Garland. But I think for the foreseeable future, right now, I don't see him returning this game, and we'll see about the next few games. But it's not looking good for his return to play right now. But definitely probably won't be available this week for us. The other guys are kind of day to day right now. They were out there on the practice field and they moved around a little bit, and they'll continue to move around as the week progresses. But typical bumps and bruises, things like that of any course of any season like this right now. But so far, we feel like we should be able to get those guys back, but we will know more as the days go on.
When a guy like Amari gets banged up and has to come out of the game, how much of a luxury is it to have Dexter right behind him to step in? And you guys don't really take much of a step back.
Well, those guys have done a really good job putting themselves in position to really be high level quality quarterbacks. You have two type of twos that you end up putting in the game. You got those twos that, hey, you don't miss a beat, and you got those twos that you hate to see to go in the game when somebody goes down. And right now, both of those quarterbacks that we have are playing at extremely high level. I talk a lot about having a lot of confidence in Dexter. He's performed not only in the past at his previous spots, but also too, you've seen what he's been able to do here from a standpoint of throwing the ball and leading the team. And Amari, we feel like is a rising star in this league and in this college football game because he can do some things with the ball in his hands that a lot of guys cannot do. So, obviously, that's also a compliment to, finding those guys, through the portal situation, and then also to developing in our system. A lot of guys have talented guys on the roster, but, not all those guys play at a high level. And we're just very fortunate to have two guys that we feel like can play anywhere in the country right now.
Coach, speaking of two quarterbacks, UTEP has used two different quarterbacks in the last couple of weeks in Nelson and Locklear. What do each of those guys bring to the table?
Yeah, Locklear is a guy that, we feel like, with the ball in his hand, he does a lot of special things. He running the ball, and obviously he's a passer as well. He can throw the ball down the field. But, he can do a lot of things with his lower body that a lot of people cannot do. So we know we got our work cut out for us from a standpoint of defending him as far as in all aspects of the game because he can really kill you. He did a good job last week against Sam Houston as far as running and throwing the football. Malachi obviously is an elite passer, one of the top quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school. He can make every single throw on the field from the far hash to the sideline. We've seen him thread the needle in the seams. Like there's just so many different things that he brings to the table where he can drop back with his upper body and just kind of kill you. Now, he actually does do a good job of scrambling at times as well. And, obviously being on the run and scramble drill, that helps those guys out a ton, create space and create grass for themselves to find an open receiver. So both of those guys, they present, big time threats for us as far as trying to defend.
Stan, you're muted, Stan, if you're trying to ask your question.
Here we go. the offensive line's played so well. Last week's another example. How has that group come together and progressed since the first of the year?
Man, so proud of the way those guys have come together and continue to do a great job of communicating up front. Defensively, in our league, people present a lot of different looks from a standpoint of fronts and standpoint from alignments on the defensive line. And you have to be a really good communicator up front to make sure that all 4 or 5 people are on the same page once the center makes that call out of his mouth. Everything starts from our center position. Josiah Chenault, he does a really good job of communicating and making sure everybody's on the same page. And, every week you just see that group getting better, getting more comfortable playing together. A lot of times you get a starting five and you're shuffling the lineup, and it's hard to always get some kind of continuity. But with our guys right now, you look at our starting five linemen. I mean, I don't know how many snaps we played this year, but I bet you 90% of the snaps have all been the same five starting dudes. And they have an opportunity to not only right now, I have an opportunity to continue to get better and better because, as winning comes, as success comes in the run game, also too, confidence grows. And right now, that group is playing confident and they're doing a really good job of communicating, trusting one another across the board.
Is putting that group together kind of like a chess game? Early, you're just kind of putting pieces in different places to see what fits, and when did it all kind of start to click?
Yeah, so just my philosophy from building teams has always been about building teams from the inside out. That means whether it's defensive line and offensive line, I just feel like at any level of football, I think if you can have a good core of big men, I think now you can start putting some other pieces around them to help them be successful. But it starts up front. So like when we started this journey, it was all about I wanted big, thicker bodies, stronger men in the interior, and then we wanted really good athleticism as well. We wanted some guys on the perimeter that had great feet that could move their feet well and gave us a chance. They also had to be big enough and strong enough to anchor down when they get bull rush. So that was really important to me from a standpoint. We had to increase the size and the length of that offensive line. And I think, we signed 13, 14, whatever, new offensive linemen. I think only really one offensive lineman that even played very much on the roster last year is JT Pennington. That's the only guy that returned from last year's team. The rest of those guys, whether they first string or second string, all those guys are new guys that we got out the portal. So, we knew going into this whole deal, we was going to have to kind of build that from the ground up, and that's what we've done a good job doing. Coach Clemens done a good job, a great job actually, with those guys. Him and Coach Blocker with the tight ends because they go a part of that blocking scheme up front as well. Just really getting those guys to buy in, and we always talk about running the ball. Got to be a physical style team. Got to be able to run the football in this league in order to have success. I would love to tell you we'd be able to drop back and throw the ball 40 times a game and beat people, but that's just not the reality. There are going to be times where you have to put the ball in the belly of the running back. There's going to be time where the quarterback has to be the ball carrier, and you have to find a way to win the games in the end. And I think on last Tuesday, we demonstrated a little bit that we had the ability to do that by in the fourth quarter when we had to drain some of that clock, we was able to run the ball and stay in bounds and keep the clock running.
And I wanted to ask you about Christian Moss too. He had a great catch, big play on Tuesday night. When you came in, he was a holdover. Was there an incident maybe that stuck out about him that when you realized he could be a game changer for you?
So I'm sitting in the office at Jacksonville Jaguars, and when I got an opportunity to interview for this job, I kind of looked at some of the PFF grades and some of the PFF, just clips on some of the guys that were starting or in the two deep. There was one particular play, it was against UTEP, I think last year, that he caught a shallow crosser and he just basically outran everybody on the field at UTEP. And from that, and just kind of looking at some of the other catches that he had made, not a high productivity, but all the catches that he made, he showed flashes to have some quickness and some speed that some of the other guys did not show. Now, for whatever the reason, he get targeted as much as you probably would have liked him to. He only played about 250 snaps last year altogether. But those 250 snaps, and especially those 14 or 15 catches that he had, they showed me just, being an evaluator that this guy put in certain positions could probably have a chance to be successful. So when we got in here and we tried to go through spring football, we started to implement our system and our schemes. what we did was I gave him some opportunities to catch the ball down the field to just kind of show us what we could do, 50-50 balls or and some other little things, shallows and slants and things like that. And he showed exactly what I thought he could be. And I still think he's just improving and haven't even scratched the surface on how good he really can be. We're still right at a little bit past the midway point of the season. I think Christian Moss has a chance to continue to grow and get better, and he has a lot more explosive plays in him as well.
That was certainly a big play the other night. No doubt
Yes,
about it.
it was.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Questions for Coach?
Hey, Coach, got a few here. Gabe Binyard set the KSU single season record for receptions. What has he done that fans may not be able to see for getting ready for this season and week in, week out, off the field and team meeting rooms, film, take care of his body, et cetera? Like, what does he do to help prepare himself to have such a great season so far?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail. Like taking care of his body was the number one thing that we talked about when we came in here and met him in January. From a standpoint, he had a lot of soft tissue injuries and hamstrings and things like that. So we talked about how to do a better job of maintenance those and how to do a better job of staying healthy throughout the course of the season, whether that mean cryo, whether that mean more massages. And we also gave him a few exercises. Our strength conditioning staff gave him some exercises to do to continue to build the strength in those lower body parts. The second thing is I think just the way he attacks the practice field. Uh, Gabe is really intentional about the way he goes about practicing. You never really have to get on him about practicing hard or making sure he's lined up correctly. So that means he's putting in time off the field as well as studying his craft and studying where we use him and how to put him in certain positions to be successful. Because we do like to move him around. He's not only a slot receiver for us. He's played on the outside. Heck, he's come out the backfield. You've seen those hand reverses and things like that to him as well. And then on top of that, he's a punt returner. So he has to really be in tune to what the kicker or the punter is doing that particular week. So he kind of understands exactly where he wants to attack the style of a punt team. So, man, there's so many different things from the way he attacks the meeting room, to his practice habits, to the way he takes care of his body. All those things is why we feel like he's got a chance to do his deal on Sundays one day.
What did you see out of him in the receiver room on Coleman Bennett's touchdown reception when it came to blocking?
Once again, elite effort. Like those guys love playing with one another. They understand how important when one of them gets the ball in space to block for their brother. But more importantly, just being smart about everything. Because there's a difference between, hey, giving great effort, but still not being a smart football player by, getting holding penalties or pushing guys in the back, things like that. Like those guys are starting to really understand the football IQ of what they have and what they're doing. It's really starting to continue to grow. And that's what you see with Gabe, not only just from a receiver standpoint, playing the position, but once again, like you said, on Coleman's touchdown, like just being smart enough not to do extracurricular things to bring that penalty to him.
In the last two games, La Tech, four different receivers caught a touchdown pass against FIU. Four different owls scored a rushing touchdown. With that balance, what does that do to make this offense more difficult to game plan, maybe in the minds of DC, and then allow Mitch Militello in the offense to have truly a variety of a playbook?
And we do, I think we do a great job offensively of always putting guys in position to make plays. Those guys really all get trained and get taught the same way, and they're held accountable the same way from a standpoint of when somebody goes down and when you get your opportunity, we want you to make the most of it more than anything else. When you have an opportunity to throw to so many guys that have had success and run the ball with so many guys that have had success, from a game planning perspective, it's hard to just be unbalanced from a defensive standpoint. It's hard to bracket people, double team people. It's hard to load up to one running back or play another style of a kid a little bit different because he's in the game. You have to be balanced. You have to be consistent in what you decide to do. And we feel like when guys come out and they're consistent in their defensive structure or what they decide to do, we feel like we can attack anybody. And all our guys, like we've done a good job, I feel like, of bringing guys in that all have similar, but yet they still have a little bit different skill set in certain ways. For instance, Coleman Bennett is a really physical style runner, and he's got a good speed, as you saw on his space. But then you bring a guy like Diggs in that's a little bit shiftier, that's a little bit more compact. Then you bring a guy like a Chase Belcher in the game, who's he's a little bit bigger than those guys, a little bit more downhill. He likes to get his shoulders going downhill. So just the run diversity that Coach Clemens has come up up with in the run game as he builds the run game plan every week. He has had so much run diversity in our run game. We don't just run inside zone. We don't just run counter. And you turn on our film, you'll see counter, you'll see power, you'll see inside zone, outside zone, quarterback runs. Like there's just so much diversity in what we do in the run game. And we feel like we can do that because of the style of runners that we have.
Is the milestone of a next victory achieving bowl eligibility something that's been discussed with the team this week?
It has been discussed a lot. To be a part or to try to have an opportunity to make history is something that they will always be able to look back on. I don't matter, and it's hard in these days because a lot of programs have been playing football for so long that it's hard to find milestones or break records. But since we're such a young program, especially at this level in Conference USA, the opportunity to get bowl eligible, that is just our first really goal for the season. We always said when we started this journey, we want to be a team that has an opportunity to play in December. And right now, we're right on the brink of that opportunity. And it's hard to get to that opportunity. A lot of times teams, you look across the country, everybody is not in that same boat. But here we are, late October with an opportunity to accomplish one of our goals. And it truly is one of our goals because we all know what the ultimate goal is. But right now, at the task at hand, the most important game adds a little bit more fire and a little bit more juice because it does have an opportunity to create a record as far as from standpoint of, hey, we got a chance to be the first bowl eligible team in the history of Kennesaw State University. And I think that's big. And our guys understand how big that opportunity is that sits in front of them on Tuesday.
And coach, what role can fans play with that in Tuesday night's game?
Oh, we need this fan base pack in the stadium. That energy that they create for our guys on Tuesday night will propel us to do a lot of different things. We feel like the energy in the crowd when we played La Tech back at home on Tuesday night, that was why we were able to win that football game, to be honest with you. That was one of the reasons we were able to win the football game. And if our fans come out, we want our fans, our students to come out to really support the team. And hopefully, if everything goes the right way, you get a chance to say you saw some history made as well.
Coach, don't mean to embarrass you here, but today's your birthday. So what are your birthday plans?
So what is tonight is really like a Tuesday night. So Tuesday night is when we sit down and we talk about the red zone. We talk about how to get the ball inside the 20 and score a point. So that is what the majority of my night will be consistent of.
Thank you so much, Coach. Happy birthday.
No problem.
Any other questions for Coach?
One more for me, Coach, kind of building on the weird schedule. Are you glad that this midweek stretch is coming to an end here after this week?
Well, honestly, I think that we have gotten so accustomed to it, it's become like the norm now, to be honest with you. The thing that I am a little disappointed in is, we don't get a chance to get everybody's eyeballs to the television on those weekday games. That has been a tremendous help from an exposure standpoint, recruiting. And to be the best version of yourself, you have to get the best players that you can potentially get. And we are in the running for some really good players as we build our 2026 team right now. So, a little disappointed that we can't continue to be the highlight or the only show in town every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. But, really good. It's going to be really good to get back to some normalcy. It's from a true 7-day work week schedule.
Thanks, Coach. Happy birthday.
No problem. Thank you.
Any last thoughts for Coach?
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
Should we
Dan.
sing to him, Andrew?
Please don't do that.
Nah, I
Okay.
think the Zoom's cutting out on us. I appreciate everyone taking the time, and we look forward to seeing everybody Tuesday at 8 o'clock for UTEP. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate you guys.